should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We've got to, again, we got to do a couple things. We got to set an example that you will be brought to justice here, but we also have to make sure that people don't see notoriety or celebrity in these types of things. It worries me in some of what we see in our society right now that those that end up in a bad place try to create a situation that puts these law enforcement officers in harm's way. And so in all the messages that are out there, including through the media, we hope it's presented in a way that shows people that there is no notoriety, there is no celebrity in committing an act like this. There's just evil.
Governor Beshear, I spoke to some parents yesterday at Rockcastle County Schools. Some were saying that the school is the safest place for the children to be. The others were kind of talking about that lockdown situation and how they fear with police and KSP on site looking over the schools that it may be taking some away from the search. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, first, to all the parents that are out there, I have 2 high school students. They've had threats on their school. This is scary, and I get it. And people should have the grace and the space to make a decision with what they do for their kids on these days. What I can say is the Rockcastle plan was put together very carefully. It was successful yesterday. All of those students were safe, both on the bus routes and in school. We augmented what was needed there with members of the Kentucky State Police that are not involved in the search. We will not pull resources away from the search for those other activities. We just want to make sure that people are ready to try to get back to their day-to-day lives, that there's that extra presence where people can just feel a little bit better. Those could be my kids, and I'd want that extra uniform that's out there. I'd want to know that our Commonwealth cares about them and is showing up for them, and it's going to make sure they're safe.
Governor Beshear, can you talk about the possibility of adding the Kentucky National Guard as the boots on the ground, extra resources for the search?
Right now, what was requested is some aerial assistance. The Blackhawks have proven very helpful, especially how dense it is. Right now, we don't have an extra request, but that's something we would certainly look at. And again, this isn't the type of search where you can just put a whole bunch of people out there at once, because this is an individual that we believe is still armed. Would be very difficult to spot, and again, we want to make sure that we don't lose anybody throughout this. So this is a law enforcement operation. I'm relying on the folks behind us, and they are the experts in it. They have my full confidence, and I know any extra resource they need, they're not shy about asking.
Governor Beshear, so we just heard that the search area is still being expanded. Any indication that Joseph Couch is still in the area, or that he may have left?
I think that's what the search is all about. I think the search has 2 pieces that go on. One is the direct on-the-ground search, and the other is tips that come in that are investigated. The idea is if he would have left the area, then you get a tip at some point that you can corroborate. But law enforcement behind me are working both of those angles. They're not taking anything for granted. They are working day and night in the area, because if he's still here, they want to find him. They're also doing all the extra legwork to make sure that if any tip comes in that would suggest that he's left the area, that they find him through that too.
Governor, when you hear about these tips coming in, what's kind of running through your mind as far as, Kentuckians wanting to help find this guy?
We are one community, and we are horrified by the act that occurred here. This is not who we are. This is not who Laurel County or the City of London is. This is one person who chose to do wrong, who chose to do evil, and because of him, there's both 5 people who were injured and a community that has been through a lot, that has been through trauma. Everybody wants to help, and anybody who sees something credible ought to call in with that tip. Make sure that you have seen something. Make sure that you do have a real tip. But the folks up here and that work with them are following up on these over and over and over. And what it shows is people want to help, and the people are scared. And that's okay. Like we said for a year and a half, we'll get through this. We'll get through this together. And this is one strong community. It's been through a lot recently, historically, and I know we'll be able to push through it and come out the other side.
Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, yes, either that we are going to find this individual in the area, we will get a credible tip that he has left the area, or we will have to change the approach as time goes on. Now, while we do that, the idea will be, how do we help people feel safe during that period of time? And we've got offers from all over Kentucky, from law enforcement and other areas, to say, if you need a few extra people in uniform, if you need some extra presence, we're here. That's what happened after the tornadoes in the west. That's what happened after the floods in the east. We show up for each other all over this Commonwealth, and the rest of the Commonwealth wants you to know they care about you, they love you. They're standing with Laurel County, London, and the whole region, and are going to stand with us until we get through it. And again, we get through it together. All right, thank you all very much. Oh, I know you will.
Very well.